From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 studios in New Orleans, this is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Fazende, riding shotgun as he does each and every podcast. Is Andre Johnson.
Junior.
Do not forget the Junior. Very important, remember the JR at the end of the name. Before we get into today's content, be sure to like, to share, to rate, to review. If you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Get the bell notification for when we drop that fire content. Also, hello to the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Glad you have found us here. And if you watched this Sunday, we were here a lot. If you watch us throughout the week, we're here a lot. So thank you for being in that number. And, of course, tell your friends, Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. We are here and on YouTube. All right, Andre, it is Monday. I walked outside today. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Slight breeze in the air. I got my outdoor workout going. It was fantastic. Normally I work out in the heat, but today that breeze felt good. Not a victory Monday. The Saints fall to the Arizona Cardinals, 20-13. I just left the Kellen Moore press conference a little while ago. I don't necessarily feel the down in the dumps feel as you normally get after a loss. I think everyone seems to understand what it was. They came in, they performed, they didn't get the job done, they're moving on. Okay, that's fine. But we're here to talk about it, and that's what we're going to do. But first things first, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. You know, the first Saints game in the Dome of the season was everything you kind of expected it to be from an experience point of view. The Dome was rocking. That football environment was back.
I love football.
That was great. You know, we posted it on our YouTube page, got to talk to Spencer Rattler after the game, an exclusive for the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. That was a good talk. I see some people already saw it on YouTube, and we'll get to Spencer Rattler's performance and what we think of it eventually in this episode. But first, we got to start with the guy in charge, Sean. Head coach Kellen Moore at the helm for the first time in his NFL coaching career. How would you grade his performance against the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, I can give you the grade right now, but I'm not going to do that because I want to explain.
Yeah, let's get some suspense going.
All right, so 3 points come to mind when I think about Kellen Moore's head coaching debut. 2 are negative, 1 is positive. So we're going to start with the negative. First things first, top of the page. Can't ignore it. He was one of the first things he talked about in his press conference. I went back and rewatched the game now a couple of times from network and all 22. Penalties and the lack of disciplined play. It was sloppy. It was bad. The operation was just not smooth when it came to that. And look, undisciplined play, you got to track it back to coaching because it's honing in on the details. Disciplined play, you could be the worst team in the league and still be a disciplined team. That is controllable. He even alluded to that. So that is within your grasp. And they ended up with 13 penalties. They could have had either 15 or 16, but 2 or 3 were declined. And of those 13, other than maybe like the Kool-Aid McKinstry one early in the game where I know there was a little bit of a tug of the jersey, but where it could have been a 50-50. It felt like most of those calls were the right calls and the accurate calls. So 13 penalties in a game is not a good reflection on the head coach in his debut because that's just sloppy. And let me tell you something. The 2009 Saints probably couldn't have overcome 13 penalties in a game. We all know the 2025 Saints are not the 2009 Saints. Nope. They need every bit of positivity that they can get. They have the slimmest margin of error than most Saints teams that I've covered, really, probably the smallest margin for error. And when you're constantly shooting yourselves in the foot with penalty after penalty after penalty, it's hard to get into a rhythm. It negates plays. It gives big plays to your opposition. So penalties are a problem. And what is concerning is they have officials that practice a lot, but Andre, I mean, this was an issue in preseason. There were a couple of games in the preseason where flags were coming down a lot. And at the time, we had noticed it, but you don't really dive into it because it's preseason, there's a lot of different personnel, a lot of guys aren't even on a team anymore, so you kind of bypass it. And perhaps that wasn't given the proper amount of attention it deserves. Well, it deserves it now. They talked about it today. They're coming up with a plan to hone in on those details this week at practice. Well, I hope so because 13 penalties in a game, this team will go 0-17. They average 13 penalties in a game. They're not going to win a game. They are not going to win a game with 13 penalties a game. Point number 2. And he talked about it again today. You know where I'm going here. The end of the first half, debacle. his explanation today was interesting because it put a little more context into what he was feeling that I don't know if he completely verbalized after the game, and certainly not at a halftime interview. What he was concerned about was if they called the timeouts and gave themselves enough time, when they got the ball back, the Cardinals still had 3 timeouts, which means if they would have went 3 and out, the Cardinals would have got the ball back with plenty of time. That is some next level overthinking right there. I'm sorry, that is overthinking, and honestly, it really felt like, man, are you trying to just drain the clock to get to halftime, or are you trying to get some points before the half and possibly, get some momentum going into the locker room? I went back and looked, Andre. I may do a film study on this, I may not, depending on how the week goes. At the 2-minute mark, they got inside the red zone. 1:57 left. It was 1st and 5. It was off of an offsides play. That 1st and 5 at 1:57, James Conner ran for 7 yards. That play ended at 1:52. The next play from 1:52 started at 1:16. 1:16, they threw a little tight end screen to Trey McBride, got 4 yards. That play ended at 1:11. The next play was snapped at 32 seconds. 32 seconds, they get the touchdown, that little underhand shovel pass to, James Conner for the touchdown. That play ended at 28 seconds. That's when they got the ball back. They ran the Alvin Kamara run at their only 30-yard line, or their own 30-yard line, and then nothing obviously happened. I went back into the math. If everything happened the way it happened, and you, after that first play, the James Conner run, you call a timeout, and then you call a timeout after the tight end screen, and then you call a timeout after the touchdown. According to my math, now this is not exact because there's give or take a second or two or whatever, they could have had 1 timeout left with 1:43 on the clock. That's you're an offensive guy. Let's get the kickoff, get a decent return. They had already had a couple good returns in that game. Go down there and score some points. So I didn't like the approach. I thought it was bad, and I thought it showed a lack of confidence in the offense, and it really felt like it was mismanaged. He said, if I get that opportunity throughout the season, who knows, maybe I'll call some timeouts. He said today he was close to it, whatever. Look, even if you don't want to burn 2 timeouts, if you just want to do 1 timeout, you're probably talking about at least a minute with 1 or 2 timeouts left. Got to have some faith in your guys there. So especially with the way they close out the game with a 2-minute drill. So that was bad. So that's not a good reflection. That's a bad clock management on Kellen Moore. But point number 3 is the positive.
Okay.
Point number 3 is it was bad. They played bad at times. A lot of penalties. They were down 10 with 4 minutes left, and Arizona's about to kick a field goal. You and I are leaving the press box to go down to the elevator just thinking this game is about to end because they're going to add 3 points, and there's just not going to be enough time to get going and back and forth. Well, Brian Brzee blocks the field goal, and boom, the momentum shifts, and they click into high gear. They march downfield. They get 3 points. They get the 3 and out, and they march downfield and have a shot, 3 shots at the end zone with less than 20 seconds left. Why is that important? Well, the effort was there. They responded to Kellen Moore. They understand the message is not getting diluted. You say, well, my effort should be a minimum. Of course it should be. You're getting paid to play. But let's be honest, last year, effort wasn't always a thing. Effort was questioned quite often. So I felt like execution was sloppy, and there was some mismanagement, and there was undisciplined play. But the fact that they rallied at the end to try to win that game and almost pulled it out, at least to almost tie it, to me, at least you close things off on a positive note on the Kellen Moore experience. So my final grade is this, a long way of saying it, I know. I'm going to get there eventually. My final grade, I'm giving him a C. Okay. Because honestly, I thought a lot of things he could have done a lot better. I mean, and that's not even getting into the actual offensive game plan. 13 points for an offensive coach is not good. Undisciplined play, clock mismanagement, but the team rallied for him. So I think that's positive. So it's something to build on. So I'm giving him a C. What say you?
Well, they say C's get degrees. It's a little harder to get a degree with the grade I gave him. I gave him a D+ in
Let's hear it.
NFL head coaching debut. And I'll touch on the things you said first. Number 1, the sloppy play. A lot of the things that he added into this offense, the creative motions, there were a lot of penalties on that pre-play. The tush push in general that they tried to run 3rd and 1, you know, like Deion Sanders said, I'm coming to Colorado and I'm taking my Louis with me. He brought his Louis with him from Philly. Hey, he said, I'm leaving Philly with something. And that's the tush push, the most unstoppable play in football. He brought it, and one of your offensive linemen lined up offsides. You know how rare it is to see offensive offsides in the NFL? So it's kind of like, okay, if you're going to run all this motion, if you're going to bring out the tush push on a short yardage situation, I love it, but your team needs to be able to execute that, the false starts and all of that. So I'm with you on the sloppy play. The timeout situation. After the game, it made me feel one way. Then when he talked about it today, it kind of made me feel even stronger in that way. He didn't trust his offense. And in particular, he didn't trust his quarterback. This is the quarterback you chose. You chose Spencer Rattler. And I promise you, if it's Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and you say, 2 timeouts, and I could get my quarterback a minute 40 on the clock to score at least 3 points, give me that. But you know what? Those are 3 of the best quarterbacks in the league. What if you say, when Kellen Moore was offensive coordinator in Dallas with Dak Prescott?
He'd do it.
When he was offensive coordinator in Los Angeles with Justin Herbert? When he was offensive coordinator in Philly with Jalen Hurts? He is going to make, if his head coach doesn't call those timeouts and give his offense a chance with 1:40 left on the clock to go down the field and get some points, he's looking at him sideways. He would have done that in any of those situations. There's about 23 teams in the league who would have called those timeouts because they say if we can give our quarterback a shot with 1:40 on the clock to at least get 3 points, that's worth doing. Kellen Moore did not do that. That screams to me, I do not trust my offense to either take care of the ball or to convert enough first downs to where the other team doesn't get the ball back. And lo and behold, what does he say today? When you talk to him, yeah, Arizona also had their timeouts. So he was more concerned about a situation where they go 3 it out, you get a ball to the Cardinals, and not only did they score on you, now they've got the ball with, say, 107 in timeouts left, and they can come down and score again. So not only does it show a lack of faith in your offense and in the quarterback that you chose, it shows a lack of faith in your defense as well. So to me, I'm like, Kellen Moore, you're showing me you don't really believe in your guys, and these are the guys that you picked. You picked Spencer Rattler. Why pick Spencer Rattler if you can't trust him to run a 2-minute drill in a close game at the end, not at the end of the game, at the end of the first half? So
you get the ball back.
Exactly, you're getting the ball back. So that didn't rub me the right way either. But the biggest thing, and I put this in all caps, not enough Alvin Kamara. We saw, I mean, before the game started, what were our keys to the game? What were we saying Kellen Moore needed to do? Number 1, run the ball. It worked in the first half. Going into the second half, he gave up on it, it felt like. First half, 14 rushes, 72 yards. The offense is flowing relatively well. You had a punt, a touchdown, and a field goal in the first half. That's not bad. That'll work. Why? Because you're running the ball effectively. Second half, I'm not counting rushes from Spencer Rattler. I'm talking about the running backs specifically. 8 rushes for 11 yards. For a team that we both said if they're going to be successful, it's going to be on the back of the running game. And in the second half, they kind of gave up on it. And you weren't down by 23. You weren't in a situation where you were down by so much that you have to abandon the run. And even if you were, you have at worst the second most versatile running back in the league. Outside of maybe Christian McCaffrey himself, there is nobody in the league who's better in the passing game at the running back position than Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara had 11 rushes and 2 catches.
13 touches.
13 touches. I know I said, hey, AK has had to carry a lot. Maybe he doesn't need to touch the ball. Christian McCaffrey touched the ball 31 times yesterday. Maybe AK doesn't need 31 touches at his age. Maybe we could cut that down to maybe 20-ish. But 13 touches for the best player on your offense, that's not nearly enough. Giving up on the running game in the second half, that's not nearly enough. And you know what happened when you give up on the running game? Your quarterback, Spencer Rattler, attempts 46 passes. The most in week 1 by any quarterback. Spencer Rattler with 46 passes. What's something else we said? This Saints team will not win a game. I said where Spencer Rattler has to throw the ball 31 times a game, which he averaged last year.
What was his number last year, his average, 31?
Averaging 31 passes
46.
a game.
Oh, my goodness.
He threw 46 passes against the Cardinals. You are not going to win a game where Spencer Rattler throws 46 passes more often than not. So all of those things culminate in me giving Kellen Moore a D+ for this game. I was not impressed. Now, The game was close, a lot closer than other people expected. They showed some fight down the end. Like, I give them the positives that you said, but the game was sloppy. I wasn't crazy about the timeout situation. And at the end of the day, you abandoned the best thing that you do, and you put your young quarterback in a very tough situation, having to throw 46 passes to win the game.
And look, I mean, there's a couple things there. Like, and then the lack of, they only dialed up one shot play and it got picked off. They got a little lucky with that. That was a fortunate flag for them.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that was that was a close call where they benefited from, because I didn't think it was illegal contact. But it didn't feel like they were even dialing anything up. I know they were playing a little bit of shell coverage. I know they had that 3 safety look, so it's a little confusing at times. But they weren't even really attacking that second level, that 11 to 20. There's a seam route to Jawan Johnson. There's a kind of a corner route to Rashid Shaheed. There's a deep out route to Chris Olave in the game. That's really it. They had the last 2 attempts where, you called that intermediate based off of the situation in the game, a seam route and a deep out. But it just felt like they were content to play into the hands of the Cardinals, who were clearly trying to force them into shorter throws, shorter runs, making them drive the length of the field, 13, 14, 15 plays. And honestly, when you got that much speed on the field, receiver-wise, you're kind of playing into their hands, because they're built for speed. And when you're built for speed, you're built for what? Explosive plays, and the explosive plays certainly were not there. So, look, all in all, I'm gonna chalk the timeout situation up to a rookie mistake, or a guy that probably needs to have a lot more confidence in his offense that they can. What do you practice 2 minutes for? If you get an opportunity to get quite a bit of time, you go down, you score, you get the ball back, you get kind of the daily double there where you get the score and you get the ball back. You could swing the whole game back in your favor. You're down 17-10, you go down, get points. You get the ball back. You open up the second half with points. Even though they opened up the second half, it was not good. It wasn't a 3 and out, but it was a quick punt.
Yeah.
So, lot to learn from. Let's put it that way. A lot to learn from Kellen Moore.
And he is not the only one with a lot to learn going into the rest of the season, because now we got to get into the quarterback play. Mm-hmm. Spencer Rattler. We graded Kellen Moore. You gave him a C. I gave him a D+. Now we've got to grade Spencer Rattler's day. How do you judge?
I have a feeling, based off your words, I'm probably going to be a little bit kinder to Spencer Rattler his day. Let's just see what happens.
We'll see.
All right. I'm going to go with the saying, 2 things can be true at the same time when it comes to Spencer Rattler. When I watched Spencer Rattler start to finish, this is the 7th time we've seen him start to finish. What we saw Sunday was his most complete performance. What we saw Sunday was a guy who started the game and finished the game. I had been calling on him to finish. He was not great, but he finished the game stronger than he had finished any other game he started last year. And I do think that is a sign of incremental growth, modest growth on his behalf. Didn't get blitzed a whole lot, but he was blitzed enough. And the couple times he did get blitzed, he did fairly well against those pressures. So, at the end of the day, he executed what ended up being a fairly simple game plan from Kellen Moore. His decisions were usually the correct ones. He avoided the big mistake, which is one of the reasons why he got the job.
Yeah.
He will not get benched after this performance. I don't believe so. He gave his team a chance to win at the end with a couple of nice throws in the final 2 drives, really. Got him downfield. So that's all good. That's all positive. That's one truth. The second truth is, with the best overall start to finish that he's played in the 7 starts, with the good decision making, with giving his team a chance to win at the end, all those things being true, what was the ultimate result? The ultimate result was 13 points, having a rally at the end, not a whole lot of explosive plays, and really just you leave the stadium. I want to leave the stadium, even if they don't win, feeling like, okay, man, they really wasted Spencer's performance. I thought he had a pretty clean performance, fairly efficient performance, hit a few lulls here and there. But like I said, overall, it was decent. But I still have not left the stadium feeling like that's the Spencer Rattler performance I've been looking for. So ultimately, what did it lead to? It led to a team that was, in position to. It would have had to been a late rally, but they were there. Probably didn't deserve to win, all things considered. I thought the team that played the best ended up winning. But there were some positive things. He was not going to get benched. So the overall grade, I'm going to give Spencer Rattler C+. What about you?
All right. See, it's a good thing I watch games twice, and that we do these on Monday and not Sunday, so you can kind of get that initial after the game feel out. I watched the game just about an hour ago for the second time. Obviously, the first time is watching it live at the Dome. Second time, I watch it from low angle, typically on a Monday afternoon. The feeling I had leaving the Dome, I had given him a C-. I've had time to think about it, to watch it again, to reconsider. I will regrade him as a C.
Okay.
I'm going up a few letter points. I'm going to give Spencer Rattler a C. Let's look at the good and the bad. But Rat Pack, let me talk to you first. Save those excuses. I'm not trying to hear them. Do not put them in the comments, but I'm not trying to hear them. Number one, injuries. He had his starters minus Trevor Penning. Taliesin Fuaga goes out midway through the game. Despite that, with the offensive line they had, he was sacked one time. The offensive line played relatively well yesterday. Juwan Johnson. Do not tell me that Spencer Rattler did not win that game because Juwan Johnson did not make a catch, an incredibly difficult catch, in quadruple coverage. That was a great defensive play. The best throw by Spencer Rattler today. I'll give him that. It was a well-placed ball, but at the end of the day, when you're throwing it high for a tight end, and once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, quadruple coverage, and that ball gets knocked out, you just chalk it up to the defense. Sometimes the defense just wins. That is not on Juwan Johnson. There were a lot of plays, 45 other pass attempts to be precise, in that game that you could have converted on a little better that don't put you in that situation, including the last play of the game, which was essentially a throwaway, an uncatchable pass to Chris Olave. But before we get to that, let's talk about the good. One of our keys to the game, we both said it, he can't lose them this game. He has to take care of the ball. I went through every interception he threw last year. There's no interceptions to go through from Sunday. He did an incredible job at not putting the ball in danger, minus that one deep pass that was a penalty, but that doesn't count, so we're not going to talk about it. He took care of the ball on Sunday. I think he handled the pass rush really well. The Cardinals' pass rush can be dangerous, and he showed a lot of escapability. And it showed on his rushing attempts. It showed even on the passes where he was able to get out of there and throw the ball away. He didn't put the ball in danger. He handled the pass rush well. The times he was blitzed, he handled it well, and I liked his escapability. Those are the good things I saw from Spencer Rattler. But we also have to talk about the other side. 4.7 yards per attempt. That's 26th in the league. That's below average. Passer rating, 70.4. That's 25th week one in the NFL. Below average. QBR, scale of 1 to 100, 49.8. 22nd in the league. That's below average. Completion percentage, once again on a league high 46 attempts. 48.7% of his passes were completed, despite the fact that he was essentially just checking down for the majority of the game. 26th among all quarterbacks in week one. That's below average. I get that he did some good things, but at the end of the day, the word I wrote in all caps under Spencer Rattler, results. You have to finish drives. At the end of the day, we can't. I was talking to some of my friends this morning, and they were like, yeah, man, I think we played pretty well. You scored 13 points.
I mean,
this is the National Football League. How many times are you going to score 13 points unless you got the 2000 Ravens defense or the Legion of Boom and win a game? I think the defense played great on Sunday, especially when they needed to play great. If you hold an offense like that to 20 points, your offense should be able to win that game in today's NFL.
At home especially.
At home. 13 points in your home opener, that might be the most live the Dome will be all year. And you could argue that's the best game of Spencer Rattler's career. You did say that from start to finish. Yeah. The best game he's ever played, when you look at the results, are a bunch of below average numbers in a game where he only scored 13 points. Second half, punt, missed field goal, punt, field goal, and a turnover on downs because he essentially threw the ball out of bounds, an uncatchable pass to Olave at the end. That is not good enough. So is he starting to build on a few things? Yes. He took care of the ball. He handled the pass rush well. Those are two of the things that he didn't necessarily do well last year. But you need more. Spencer Rattler, like everybody in the NFL, especially a young quarterback, is on the clock.
Yeah.
There are things you have to show, and you only have so long to show it because right now he is now 0-8, 0-7 as a starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. And there's a kid drafted in the second round that's sitting on the bench who really wants to play. We can only make excuses for why he's not winning for so long. Eventually, the result has to be there, and that was not there on Sunday.
I think it's a great point. I mean, I bet the general consensus right now at Rattler is, yeah, that was a pretty good game by him. But it really goes to show you just where we're at in the whole kind of QB evaluation sort of era of this franchise right now, just because of what we're so used to and where the current state of things certainly is at this point. I guess the word I'm thinking of, you said results, I'm thinking ceiling. Okay, how much better can he get, and what does that look like? If he starts 17 games, what does that season look like? Because I think there was some good things.
Yeah.
And he did show some growth from last year to this year. But where is he at? And him at his absolute best, where's your team? And right now, I think those are two simultaneous truths that we're trying to deal with right now to see, okay, how far can you realistically go, and does he have it to really get over the hump to where he's not just, we'll just walk off saying, oh, he did pretty well. So no, he was the reason they won the game. Yep. Or don't blame him for losing. Well, we didn't blame him for losing, but they wasted Spencer Rattler's performance if they lose the game when he throws for 304 tutties, but it hasn't happened yet. So that's the way it goes. You had a C. I had a C+. I had a C for Kellen Moore. You had a D+, so he was hard on old Coach Moore. So
I need a little more, Kellen Moore, but it was your first game. We'll let it slide.
We'll let it slide. All right. We'll be back Wednesday. That was fun. All right, Andre Johnson Jr., Sean Fazende. Catch you guys next time on Overtime.